go. So, happy Friday. I normally don't do things on Friday, but this time I decided to change it up. Sorry for the inactivity last week. I was on a cruise, as you can tell by my suntan probably. And excuse the shorts as it's kind of my free day, but I'm spending it here studying psychology, reviewing for my comps. So, last week I thought this was a good topic as usual. I think all the topics in psychology are good. But last week we talked, or the week before, excuse me, we talked about the cognitive triangle, which was by Beck, where we talked about how thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are all intertwined into one, and that formulates our mental state, and that formulates the way we think about things, the way we engage in our behaviors, our emotions. It doesn't really talk about the underlying issues, but it talks about the way we formulate, the way we engage and we approach society. These are the three elements involved. And this, if you remember, was by Beck. And I don't want to truly focus on this today, but I do want to remind you guys about it. And the reason why is because Beck didn't just formulate the cognitive triangle that I just drew. He also formulated the term cognitive distortions. It's a CBT term, cognitive distortions. If it's not formulated by Beck, it was formulated by someone within the CBT community, but I'm pretty sure it was by Beck. Either way, what is a cognitive distortion? What is it? And we all engage in this type of faulty schema thinking. We all engage in every time we think, we engage in thinking is in a process. It's a sequence. And we all have a sequence that's just, it's not true, it's faulty. We all have it. Sometimes when we engage in that type of thinking, we don't even realize it. But today, let's define it. Ways our mind convince us of something that isn't true. How many of us have this? I hope almost everybody admits so, because it's only until we admit our faults can we do something about it. So I'm going to give you an example of a faulty schema I engage in all the time, okay? Sometimes I think that if I had a good workout, I'm allowed at nighttime to eat a lot. That's a faulty schema. That's unhealthy. But I justify it in my mind somehow. So we're going to go through various types of cognitive distortions, and I'm going to write down the cognitive distortion. I'm going to talk about them for a little bit. There's over 15 or 20 different types of cognitive distortions. I'm only going to touch on a few. My main goal is for you guys to grasp the concept of a cognitive distortion. And like I said, it's just the ways our mind convinces us of something that isn't true. Stereotypes, labels. Our minds make sense of the world through labels. Our frontal cortex assimilates the information and makes it rational. And sometimes in this formulation, in this rationality, we have cognitive distortions. All of us do. So let's begin. I'm going to draw a box around this term. I quoted it. I hope the marker doesn't run out of me in the middle of the presentation, but we'll see. Okay, here we go. So the first cognitive distortion I'm going to talk about today, it's called, it's right here. Filter. So we'll draw one here. So one type of cognitive distortion is filtering. We all filter in our daily lives. We're constantly assimilating information. There's thousands of stimuli around me. There's thousands of stimuli around you. But our mind can only focus on about maximum a few stimuli at a time. A few meaning about 10 to 15 stimuli at a time. When we're assimilating that information, good and bad, That's good, that's bad. That agrees with my moral conscience, that doesn't agree with my moral conscience. If I do this, I'm going to get the end result that I want. If I do this, I'm not. So we're constantly filtering. And in the process of filtering, oftentimes we'll believe something is good for us, but it's not. So how should we define filtering? And let me see what I wrote here in my notes. It could also be used as magnify. So let's write here, looking at one side. We're going to be biased. That's what filtering is. I could also write bias here, but now. Okay, next one. Polarized thinking. Polarized thinking is a cognitive distortion we all engage in. Oh, I don't like that person. That person is a good person because he's a superhero. Oh, I like Batman because he helps people. But we fail to see all of Batman's negative qualities. Oh, I like myself because I'm a good human being because I helped someone this morning. Okay, does that make me good? I mean, there are plenty of other things I did that probably weren't so great. We all have to admit that we're not perfect. So for here, I'm going to put polarizing. Let's put polarized thinking. Let's put here one-sided. Or let's put good or bad. I'm gonna have to figure out another way where I don't turn my back to you guys. I feel like that's a little too much, but here we go. Second one. This one we do it all the time. We overgeneralize. Overgeneralization is a type of cognitive distortion. What does overgeneralization mean? I take one event and I apply to all others. So I'm gonna give you an example. I'm Hispanic. I am a Cuban American, as I've told some of you guys. And what does that mean? Well, oftentimes I've been to the Midwest. I've been to the Midwest of the US, and I've had people look at me bad. And there was one encounter I had one time where a person says, oh, I had an Hispanic steal from me, and you Hispanics are always doing the same thing. I had nothing to do with that, but that gentleman took one event and he generalized it among the whole population. I know you guys have had some experiences in whatever culture you're from that happens to. Maybe you're the victim of being discriminated against, or maybe you were the discriminator and didn't even realize it. But the point is that we all engage in that type of negative schema, which is, let's put here, over generalization. We'll keep going. I know it looks kind of weird, but I'll keep going on the other side, I guess. I guess there's so many. I wrote 15 cognitive distortions down, but I guess what I'll do is I'll write down 6. Not the video will be forever. I mostly, like I said, wanted you guys to get the point and know exactly what cognitive distortion was. So here we're going to write 4. Okay. Blaming. None of us do that one, right? Oh no, I didn't pass the test because of me. I failed the test because the teacher's mean, right? Or let's try another one. Oh, I didn't make the basketball team because of me. It wasn't that I need to work on my skills, it's that the coach was biased. He doesn't like Hispanic players. That's blame, not taking personal responsibility. And that's a huge cognitive distortion. Why? Because if we're not able to accept responsibility for our actions, how can we better ourselves? How can you even engage in any sort of humanistic or cognitive intervention that's going to help you? Oftentimes I get clients, especially involving an addiction, that they like blaming others for their issues. It was never them. It was never their fault that they got set, that they were caught with coke. It was the police officer's fault that he was whatever they call him. So that happens all the time. These are really simple. I'm gonna do another interesting one. Let's put here. Personalization. Personalization. It's bad handwriting, but that's why I'm not an artist, to be honest. Personalization. What does that mean? Taking things personal. You think that the reason your team won is because of you. You don't take into the account all the other 12 or 14 players on that basketball team. Or maybe, the reason our group got an A on the assignment was because of me. I was the one who typed it up. Not taking into account the persons that had to gather the information, the person that maybe pieced together the information before you typed it, not taking into account the person who had the idea to begin with. Always taking responsibility for the good. It's always about you. That can be an issue as well. That's a cognitive distortion. There's millions of factors at play at a time. Millions of factors we can't even see that are at play at a time. Our minds won't be able to comprehend it. And for someone to think that everything's about them and they're the reason why everything's successful, or they're the ones everything's bad, that's faulty thinking. That's a cognitive distortion. And I'll use another one. Here we go. The last one, okay, guys? Because I'm kind of short on time and they want to kick me out of here. So I'm going to use a fun one on the last one. Jumping to conclusions. Doesn't this even happen in the scientific community? So I'm just going to take the opportunity to say this. Science is the accumulation of facts. It's the accumulation of knowledge. And off those facts, this is the funny, science is the accumulation of facts, but off those facts, people form theories. Ivan Pavlov was the best researcher to date, in my opinion, because he had gathered the most information. But then off that information, he formed faulty theories. And they were very relevant. Actually, his theories were very far off. But his science, but the accumulation of facts, he really knew how to do that in the laboratory. How many times do we not even have evidence for something and we jump to a conclusion? That's a faulty schema. I may know the history of that person, of a specific individual. I did the assessment, I did the biopsychosocial, I did the ACE trauma scale. I know their history. Does that give me a right to jump to conclusions as to what that client will want throughout the treatment process? No. I have to work with that client, and I can't jump to conclusions. And to even think that I have the power to dictate something for someone else, that's jumping to conclusions, and that's a cognitive distortion, because a cognitive distortion is, like I said, a faulty schema, or a way our mind convinces us of something that isn't true. So, if you want more information, here's where I'm going to end the video, guys. If you want more information on cognitive distortions, please, I always say for you guys to message me, but I don't have time to reply to all the messages. It's gotten really big now. Just request more videos. I probably won't reply to your message, but if you request another video on cognitive distortions, we'll keep going off them. I wrote down 15 of them. I only wrote down 6 for the time limit, the time constraint I'm on. If you haven't followed me on YouTube, please follow my YouTube channel. Come on, show some support. And I really appreciate all of you guys. And I really appreciate the support I get from you guys on my Instagram page, on my YouTube page, and through a lot of the nice messages some of you guys send me. And it's very inspirational and inspiring, and it motivates me to keep going. I have some ideas for Psych Life. They've been in the works for a while, but I will let you know when I do exercise some of those ideas, okay? So with that, I say thank you for watching and have a good day. See you.